Now, I know this is the time where I'm supposed to kind of come up here and just plug myself and read my own poetry and talk about me and that sort of thing, but you know, it occurred to me that I should actually make a quick announcement because, because I was recently engaged in communications with Horace Godard in Quebec, and you know, he's one of the editors of Cola magazine, a black literary magazine. This is a black literary magazine, for those of you who are not familiar with it, that's been around for many, many years, over 20 years now, well over 20 years, in fact. And he has agreed to do a special issue that features artists from Alberta. And so all of you people, yes, that's right, exactly. Yeah. So all of you people who identify with the black community, who are writing what you feel is black literature, if you're not in touch with me and I don't have your email address, please come and see me, let's say at the break. I'll just be sitting over there. Come and see me. Make sure that I get your contact information so that I can send you the details so that you can submit your work, all right? Okay, now forget I just made that announcement. And now we'll turn to, as Queenie pointed out, I come from the academics field, but you know what? Because I had this blackness thrust upon me, so to speak, I'm not the usual academic, and I certainly wasn't considered that when I was in the academy. I started out in Alberta. I was raised here. I was born in Sierra Leone, but I more or less grew up in Alberta, both Calgary and Edmonton, and it was very hard growing up being, you know, intellectually minded when there are no stories or no scripts for blackness to be associated with intellect. And, you know, now that I look back, I see that my parents actually scripted my whole life for me because, I mean, when you name somebody Bertrand to begin with, you're already courting with that intellectual disaster story, right? And so for a long time, I struggled with my own identity until I fled Alberta and went off to university. And lo and behold, people stopped asking me, what's that name? Where's it from? Because these people were taking philosophy and math, and they'd heard of Bertrand Russell. So in my journey, so in my journey, it was not just a journey through struggling with blackness per se, but it was blackness via the intellect. And what does that mean? I lived in many different places in the world, and finally I came back here, and I found, ironically, I spent most of my life trying to escape Alberta, but when I came back here, all of a sudden I felt as though I had a language to think about and to talk about what it means to be black in Alberta. So I'm going to share with you a few poems here that help to describe that. The first one deals with a historical figure. Her name was Janet Neddy Ware. Many of you might be familiar with the famous black cowboy John Ware. This is his daughter now. His daughter Neddy lived to be almost 100 years old. 96, I think she was when she died. And she was a great champion of the Ware family and the history of John Ware. If you're not familiar with it, I urge you to go and look it up. It's very easy. It's all available. Google John Ware, Black Cowboy. You'll see the rest. But interestingly, she was a champion of her family, but didn't really, there's not much writing about her herself, and there's not much writing that uses her as a subject. And so I wrote a suite of poems that was exploring her, and I'm going to read one of them for you here. And what I want to let you know is that Neddy Ware, this poem consists of all of her words, all right? So this is really her poem. And in the spoken word / hip-hop tradition, I have given this poem a title, and it features Janet Neddy Ware, all right? So she's a guest in this poem, so to speak. Maybe I am the guest. All right, it's called Neddy Ware, Death by Elocution. These are her words, featuring Neddy Ware. In a little old house with a squeak in the stairs, with a porch just built for two. In the yard is a group of geraniums red, and a glorious old-fashioned piney bed. Petunias and pansies and larkspurs are there, proclaiming their love for their old-fashioned fare. My grandmother gave me lessons in elocution, and I've done quite a bit of it, but I collapsed one time. Oh, I got so excited, I collapsed. and would have passed away. That would have been the best death. Neddy Ware. Those are her words. The next one is a blues, and that's all I'm going to say about it, but it is rooted in my Alberta experience. It's called Out of Darkness. Honey, today I came out of darkness, with black ahead, black behind. Said, I came out of darkness, black in front, black behind. But I'm sitting here now, that's what you'll find. Strange words ahead, strangeness behind. That's what you'll find. Stranger words, black behind. Alberta, my woman, says, where you been? All night, waiting, waiting. All night, she says. Calling, calling, where did you go? I was looking for you. And stranger than strange, the funny thing is, I've just been sitting here, holding her hand. It feels alive. It feels cold. It's a feeling I don't understand. Just sitting here, more alone than alone, holding court from the absent throne, scratching scrap-like silences to quiet the darkness. But I come from darkness. The darkness surrounds. My heart is darkness. Darkness is my sound. I make sense in the darkness. Walls collapse in the darkness. And like a somnambulist, I stand up unscathed, unscathed by the darkness, but not unchanged by the wronging of the light. I will write it again, by the wronging of the light. Alberta, my woman, says, where you been? All night. Waiting, waiting, all night, she says. Calling, calling, where did you go? I was looking for you. But, I said, surprised, I'm always looking for you. But she couldn't hear. You disappeared. She was scared. My head was adjusted. My hair was a mess. My words came off backwards. My clothes were distressed. Confess, my love nightmare. Just confess. Put down that paper. Put down your pen. Tell it all from the start. Again, I say. I was looking for you. I don't know what happened next. I was holding your hand. Then I fell into something beautiful that I couldn't see. I became something unfathomable that you couldn't read. And before my woman could say another word, I held up my hand. But she couldn't see the pen, the paper, the everything that was me. Honey, I have been in darkness. I've lived with fear. But I was born from darkness, and now I am here. Thank you very much. That was a blues. The next couple of poems I want to read to you, I like to think of as snowflakes, because they're just short and sweet, and they're also, I like to think, beautiful, and perhaps have come from above. And maybe, just like springtime, we shouldn't be surprised when a little poetry comes sprinkling down out of the sky in April in Calgary. So I just invite you, don't be scared, right? We in Calgary, we're not afraid of a little snow in spring, right? Just observe it, let it land maybe on your tongue, and do what it will there, okay? This first snowflake is called Louis Armstrong on the Prairies. I'm telling you, man, the cat skipped the prairies and went straight to the mountain, and it never got too cold for that cat. Just spread some hot 5s and 7s wherever there was a little ice. Wailing, moaning, trumpeting, the cool front man blasted back whatever cold front faced him, split the air with his ambivalent grin, and warmth settled over this side of Les Rocheuses like a New Orleans blue note bath. And what do you suppose he saw dissolving with the warming of the snow? The older impressions of Matthew Henson, a historical haint, headed further north. Maybe that way? I'm not sure. Yeah? And no, it don't mean a thing, Louis, if he ain't got to swing through Banff. North Pole Negro been here long ago? Ain't it a wonderful world? Now, Louis, go and tell it. Snowflake number 2, King Kong on the Prairies. He was here too. Now they've stopped paying him any mind with nothing of any consequence to climb. What's the point, really? Maybe we should have let him live. Shot through the heart with an elephant gun we brought with us when we came here. The mound of his carcass is the tallest obstacle between here and Saskatchewan. Before we shot him, we had given him a cowboy hat, an original white Russian shoe miniature that Smith later built. He crushed it clumsily with his pinky. I remember the king on his island. Back then, I was just one of the savages hired to reinforce the symbolism of his unfettered nature for your cameras. It's funny to think that we understood our limits too well back then, and that now his serenity adds a special something to this unbroken landscape. Snowflake number 3. Oh, I see, I didn't give you snowflake number 3. We're just moving on to the last one. That's okay. Okay, this is actually from the book. And the piece from the book that I submitted, at least that was accepted, was it's a piece that I like to think of as my anthem, my Alberta Anthem. Where the heck is it? Usually I find it like that. I mean, it's not like I have the book open on any other page, right? It should just that's not true at all, you know. It should just open there. That's not true at all. I love this book. I love everything in it. You've done a fantastic job. What's your name? You know I'm joking, right? Yeah, that's right, exactly. But I can't find it. I'm going to have to read it from my pages, that's all. 68? Thank you. Oh, I love these spoken word people. Oh, yes, and they always speak. All right, this is a poem that I've borrowed the language of Langston Hughes. Langston Hughes was one of my poetic muses when I came back to Alberta. What I did was I looked at several poets that I consciously started to read several poets that certainly came from the tradition from the Black diaspora, but also who had a connection to the prairies, I felt. And Langston Hughes, we always forget, was actually born and raised in Kansas. His first autobiography talks a lot about this. And so he's one of the people that I have borrowed from. So he's got a poem that's called I Too Am America. And so I've written one that responds to it that's called We Too. And that is in this book here that you all can go out and purchase if you want to. We too. We too sing Alberta, from the first jail in Calgary and the wrong belonging of this familiar place. We too sing of Cyclone, the big black buck, too sing for Cyclone, sing like Cyclone, the big black buck, the eternal northern star of the greatest outdoor show on earth. We too wail in these northlands, this side of la rivière de la paix. Oui, tu peux chanter ici, il te faut chanter ici aussi. This foe was not our fault. This dislocated Harlem farming just north of Athabasca, you called, we responsed. All right, now we are okay here too, and KS, MS, MO, and O, even IL here too. And we too sing Alberta, the Babylon psalm rounded up along the erupted Rockies, one renamed ridge and the evaporating elevated grain, the faded stain of segregated schools, the suppressed success of our homes steaded in the prairie bush, the land, its hues, the language we use, the simple blues of hues with the grinning dews of where, granted by McEwen, our prairie uncle. To the bellows in the bowels of the overground railroad, we sing portered and pulled, man, prairied by night, moonstruck by the days of a Chinook shine at the hill's foot, shuffling to the pulse of black blood. We were babies born in tar sands, but we're not from here. Sing the refrain, where are you from? You know this beat disruptor may sound wrong, but we too sing this strange Alberta song. Thank you.